see. They're gone.
He's sitting there with his mouth hanging open. Now he closed it. Now he opened it again. Here, let's put it.
You will too.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's gotta be this high.
Okay.
I don't think that's gonna be this high.
Someplace there.
Well, that's your pictures on the wall?
No.
Or don't your pictures on the wall?
No.
First thing they asked me was if I had bought that place.
Oh yeah.
And we told them the same as I told you. It didn't have a fireplace, and that's the only reason we didn't buy it. He says, thank God, he said, because it's all in tarpaulins now.
Leaky
so
condo.
bad.
Oh, really?
See? So I got chilled off with that, you know. I said to him, well, you know, we're warm here and we're dry, and that's all I want. And only if it can last for 2 years, I'll expect them to be gone by then, and Mary will go back to her daughter's place down in Ontario.
Uh-huh. Well, you got, this is nice. I didn't realize you had the big study back there.
Yeah, that's his den.
Yeah, that's nice. Very nice.
Did you finish working on your trailer?
My trailer,
Yeah.
I sold it.
Oh, you sold it?
Yeah,
Good for you.
I finished it though first.
Oh, yeah. Good for you.
Yeah, kind of a nice unit that it ended up. I made it really.
Alexis sold hers too.
I was telling Alexis, I said you were telling me stories yesterday. I was telling her about when you were born on Broadway,
Yes.
you know, and the cougar in the backyard.
Yeah. Well, my brothers and my 2 brothers and sister, they were in the house, and they wanted to put them out while I was getting born, you know, because it was only a two-room shack, I think, or that was a little shingle house, and they couldn't let them out because the cougars was in the backyard.
Yeah.
And on
Really?
Too bad the cougar didn't get me.
Oh, a cougar out there.
Yeah.
I can remember when, well, I can't remember. I just remember hearing about it when you lived in Over Arm, I think.
Yeah.
You had a fire there, and you had to camp on the beach.
No.
Yeah. I guess you weren't born then.
Oh yeah, I wasn't born then.
No, no. So where you lived was right on the water.
I know that, but I lived there, yeah. But my dad had a fire there,
Yeah.
and our house burned down.
Oh, yeah. Well, apparently, I guess your mom had to keep a gun and that ammunition.
Oh, yeah.
So she had to take that and bury it in the sand in case the fire exploded the whole thing. They had bears come around their house, too. And she was all alone with the kids.
Yeah, that's what he was saying yesterday, how wild it was up there.
Oh, yeah.
And we did hear the shots going off in the morning. That was my mother shooting for fresh ducks, you know.
Oh.
They came right up, swam right up to the house, you know. But they weren't that close, like maybe across the street here. And you did praying, you know, and his mom was out shooting duck, and she was a very good shot. She hit anything right, you know.
She must have had a very exciting life.
Oh, it was a terrible life for her. But anyhow...
Well, your dad was away most of all the time.
But when we got up in the morning, this was around 6 o'clock in the morning, when the ducks was clustered around there. But when we got up around 7 or 8 in the morning, you'd open the door and there was two ducks already laying at the door. The old dog swam out and got them and pulled them.
I always remember about the English woman that was visiting your mom one time somewhere around
the gulls, yeah.
And so she said, my sons take their gulls home and feed them everything in the house. And Stan says, well, she says, that's different from mine. She said, they take their gulls home and they starve them to death. Oh my goodness. She meant seagulls, you know, the little little seagull. Did you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh no, she says, my sons take their gulls home, you know, speaking English, their gulls home.
But the other one was referring to their girls,
was
was it?
What was that?
Stan's mom says, well, mine take theirs home and they starve them.
Did you, with them living in Powell River, did you spend much time with them, or?
I was, I passed through Powell River, but I've never been really in Powell River proper. Your dad went up with Stan's mom when we came from Shetland.
Uh-huh.
She came to see us, and she took Charlie home with her. So we spent some time up there.
Here, I'll get Mary to turn it down. Or she outside?
Right up here.
Oh, here it is. Here, I'll just...
Just turn, just a little bit. How hot is it?
It's 73.
No, that's too hot.
Yeah, it's a little warm. We'll all be dozing off.
Yeah, I'll get up and do it.
There, it's down. It'll go off in a minute. It's down. I put it to 65. It'll go off in a minute.
That should be
Okay.
okay.
So that's how you got to know my dad better. He went up to Powell River?
Well, Charlie,
Yeah.
stay with me.
His mom took Charlie. She bought him long pants. So, you know,
Yeah.
coming from Shetland, they all wore just knee pants.
Uh-huh.
So she bought him a whole little outfit that was pants and the top, I think it was blue with the red on.
Yeah, the big red V's like this in the leg.
Oh, goodness.
Charlie and I both had them, yeah. She bought a pair for both of us.
And that was in 1930?
Yeah.
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 So did he go to school with you in Powell River then?
No, he went to school in Vancouver, 2nd Avenue.
So,
How big would you be, Jimmy, his brother, when they went to school? They had a fountain, you know, where the water came out. And one time Jimmy was drinking out of the fountain and his feet slipped and his mouth went over the top of the darn deal. And I don't know who got him off it.
Yeah.
Can you remember that?
Yes, I recall it.
oh, and a fountain, a water fountain.
You got stuck on it.
You remember the Larsons?
No, forget these people, man.
Larson lived almost next door to us in Georgia Street. He was a great big...
When they were kids, they used to have to row across the inlet to get to school. And we would lambast them with rocks before they landed. Not only me, this was at the school. We were waiting for them to arrive, and we'd see them coming just like Indians rowing, you know. And then when I got close enough, we'd come out of the bush and lambast them with rocks and everything. The poor devils, you know, and they were always late. Because then they would come in and they'd get hell for that. They'd get strapped and everything. And we were just, we didn't do a thing, you know. Oh, it was really, and like I told you yesterday, it was a place where nothing could happen. There was nothing going on like kids have nowadays. But we were so busy with all this damn foolishness that we were doing. We were out at night.
Well, yeah, you could run wild.
Oh, we were, yeah.
So when he lived a house between us, he was married to this woman.
Yeah, that was
She was very immaculate. So poor old, what the heck was his name now? Lars, I forget now what his first name was. Anyway, he worked all night, like, I think a mill or something he worked in. So, she'd get out of bed and make the bed up, and poor Larson wasn't allowed to go to bed.
He'd come home and he couldn't go to sleep.
He wasn't allowed to touch that bed after he'd worked all night and come home and needing to sleep. Well, she treated him like a dog.
Eddie, that was his name, Eddie Larson.
One time, it was quite funny, when Tom, the kids, there were a family lived across the street from us, and they had one little girl. She was a mouthy little brat. Anyway, this day, Larson had built a garage to put I think he finally got himself a car. And he built himself a garage, and so he was putting a sidewalk down from the house to the garage. And I guess he was mixing his own cement and everything. Anyway, the kids across the way came over to play with Tom. They were just, little kids about 7 probably or something. So Diane started on them, calling them all sorts of nasty names. Larson was getting a big kick out of this, he was laughing up his sleeve.
I can walk by.
So,
I can walk by.
So I said to Tom, don't pay any attention to it, just ignore it. But these kids across the way, they were real mouthy kids, so they were giving it back to Diane. Anyway, I was doing the housework, washing the kitchen floor and that, so I finally got fed up with all this racket up there, so I said, well, Tom is coming in for lunch and you kids go home. So anyway, that's what they did. So a neighbor kid came down to play with Diane, and Larson had got all this wet concrete laid in. So I don't know if he went into the house or something. So that Larry Anthony and Diane run all the way up and down through the middle of his wet. Oh, Jesus, was he mad.
That was in Larson's place, eh?
He pounded the daylights out of the kid. Sent it to her bed.
Yeah.
Who was Larson? Who were the Larsons?
Pardon?
Who were the Larsons?
They lived across, they were homesteaders.
Levy Larson that lived next door to
They
us.
lived across the inlet from where we lived.
They were Norwegian, weren't they?
Either that or Swede, whatever they were. Yeah, something.
Swedish, yeah.
So you came to Canada in 1930. What month did you come over in?
In May.
In May. So did my dad spend the summer with,
That's right.
Yeah.
went up there for the summer and you
Yeah.
taught him to speak Canadian? And
Your dad then was,
And then we never
His
saw
age
Dad.
group.
Charlie met him up there.
Oh,
His
really?
Dad. Charlie was just about 4, I think, when Dad went away.
Oh, so he didn't know his father.
Not very well, no.
You didn't either, really? You weren't that much
Oh
older.
yeah, I was used to follow after him like a little puppy dog. Everywhere Dad would go, I was behind his heel. They were always hoping, you see, their first son, not Jim's David. Dad was married twice, you see. And James David was his first wife, and
Yeah. That was in the old country, though.
she died shortly after
That's
James David was born, and then Dad and Mom got married. So he was still not very old, just a baby, so he was brought up with us. We never knew the difference, but he was just one of us. But anyway, it was quite interesting. I don't know if I ever told you about when we landed in Vancouver.
Yeah, well, that was in 1930, yeah.
Yeah. When we came to Vancouver, well, of course we didn't know anything. We got off the ship and got on the train. So they had great big seats face to face, you see. So I guess all of us were sitting, you see, on the two seats. So when you wanted to sleep at night, did you pull the seats together and then you lay down on these darn hard seats?
Auntie Anna, did you get off in Vancouver, or where did you get off the ship?
In Vancouver.
No,
Well, we had to stop somewhere in the prairies along the way.
So what did you get off in Montreal?
Montreal. Yeah.
Montreal. You got
Oh
off
yeah, we
in
came to
Montreal.
Montreal, yeah. And so anyway, we finally came into Vancouver. It was late at night, I guess probably 11 or 12 o'clock when the train came in. So we all got upstairs somewhere. I guess we had to come up a flight of stairs from down below from the train. And Jimmy and Violet with Elle met us in the place there.
Train station.
Yeah.
Jimmy
So
didn't,
we would,
Jimmy didn't have Violet then.
no,
Yes, he did.
There was no Violet.
but Violet was with him.
No.
Yes, she was.
Eh?
Yeah, she was.
Don't look at me, I didn't say a word.
No, Jimmy didn't have Violet when he first came to
To
Canada.
Vancouver.
Yeah.
They met and married here.
So he was
Vancouver.
only 19 years old when they came to our place up in Oakville.
Yeah, but she's talking about when they came.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, he met
Oh, I see.
Vancouver and Vancouver
Yeah.
sometime. She came out from Glasgow, and she did housework. I don't know how he come to meet her, but anyway, they got married and they had a... Anyway, they came down to the train station to meet us. The one thing I'd like to go back and see it again, and I'll never forget, was the angel holding the soldier up. Did you ever see that?
Yeah,
At
I
the-
think so.
And that was the first memory I can see is the angel holding. This is when the First World War, holding that soldier up in her arm, hand like that.
So did you when you were in Montreal, did you get directly from the boat onto the train?
Onto the train,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
So anyways, there was a couple of fellows. They always stayed very close by, but they never said too much. They were from Stornoway. And one of them was a lighthouse keeper in Fall River. So when we got off the train, they got off the train too. Instead of taking off and going on their way, they both just stood off onto the side. So Jimmy and Violet stood there and spoke to us for a little while. I guess we looked like a bunch of retards. And so Violet turned to Jimmy and said, "Well, we gotta go down to bed, Jimmy." They walked away and left us standing there like a bunch of sheep. Dad had made arrangements to go to the region, I guess, with us. That's where he always stayed
Yeah.
when he came in on the boat. So they walked away and left us standing there. So this the older fellow come over and he said to Mom, isn't your son going to see you settled? Mommy says, it doesn't look like it. So he took Elsie and Bella and I and put her to the young woman's place. And he took Mom and Charlie and Ellen and Johnny and took them to the Regent Hotel. They came back the next morning after we had breakfast at the young women's place, picked us up, took us to the Regent, got Mom and Ellen and Johnny and put us on the bus to go to Jimmy's place. So when we got out, that was where the heck was Jimmy was used to live.
West Vancouver.
Anyway, we got there, and how we found our way around, don't tell me. We got off the bus. I think they probably told us where to get. And when we were walking there, we went past the bakery. So anyway, we came to Jimmy's place, and it was pouring and raining, just like it was now. So we stood and knocked on the door, and nobody was there. All of us standing there like a bunch of sheep. And so an English woman that lived next door, they were building a house, came out and said, I saw Mr. and Mrs. Laurenson and the little boy go out a while ago. She says, you can't stand out there in the rain. Come in the house and wait until they come back. So we went into her place, and she took us into our living room. It was, everything was, the rafters and everything, they were still, finishing it as they could afford it. Anyway, we all sat there and sat there and sat there, 7 long and 7 short. So Mom turned to Elsie and Bella, and she said, go to that bakery and buy something to bring home for a cup of tea. So the English woman said, I'll make you a cup of tea. So Bella and Elsie went there, and who should be in the bakery but Byron, Jim and Violet, the little kid. So anyway, they bought whatever they got. They came back. They picked us up at the house. So we stayed a little while. She finally got a cup of tea made. She was like sun on the wall. So after the tea was made, Jimmy was in the CPR at that time, on the CPR boats. So he said, well, I have to go. So we went. So after he went, then Violet walked us all the way from where they lived to 45th and Fraser. It was a long, long way. And we passed the second-hand store, and she said, this is where I bought the furniture, So, anyway, she brought us to 45th.
Oh, did you have a house? They found you a house at 45th and Fraser? Is that?
It was a rented place.
Oh, okay.
So, Mom made a cup of tea after we got there. I got the fire lit. It was a wood stove. And gave Violet a cup of tea. And so then Violet took Petal, and away she went. We never saw them again for 3 months. So when Dad came home in August, and poor Charlie, he was trying to chop wood, and I guess the wood that they had was full of knots and stuff, how they dumped off and he was left-handed, and he hit his right hand and cut his hand across there. So Mom had to take him to find a doctor. He had to have his hand stitched. So, I don't know if it was the next morning or it was very shortly after. Mom was trying to light the fire, and the fire wouldn't light. didn't know what was wrong with it. No matter what she tried, no fire. So she pulled out the ice box, and the ice box was full of water. I guess they're putting in the wood, what the heck did they call it, the pipe that went around that heated the water. You know,
Yeah.
that was just a round pipe inside there. And when you lit the stove, then the water heated the tank, you see.
Uh-huh.
So here the pipe was broken, and this is where the water, and that's why the stove wouldn't light. So poor Mom had to take off and go to the second-hand store. So he brought another second-hand stove back, and took the other one away. I don't know how much he charged her, but anyway, it lasted us. But the experiences that we had, it was really something. Oh, and then we all got very sore throats and was terrible sick. And then a neighbor that came to see Mom, Mom said, oh, she'd been very sick with sore throats. And diphtheria was just rampant at that time. Practically every house in the block had a quarantine on them. Oh, she says the people that lived in there. Well, Charlie and I went downstairs to bring up this wood, and then we found a bunch of magazines. Of course, this was something new to us, and I just picked it out of the magazines. And how we didn't die with it, I don't know. We didn't even have a doctor. But the neighbor said, well, you must have had diphtheria. We could hardly swallow for the sore throats. And then poor Mom, she was allergic to mosquito bites, and she'd get great big bags of water on her legs. And these mosquito bites, oh, she had an awful I said if I could write a book, I could really write a good book about what it was really something, eh?
Well, that was, so when you arrived, then your mom came down, or you all came down to meet them?
Yeah, she came down from Fall River to see us. His dad had passed away not long before we came.
Oh, you're
Well, she
kidding.
didn't live a great deal longer after he went, did she?
No. About 3 years, that's all.
Yeah,
She just died of a broken heart.
yeah. Well, they had a big outbreak of flu at that time, and she went out nursing people, and she got the flu, and that's what she died from.
Not my mom.
Eh?
No, she didn't get that. She died of her heart failure.
Heart failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she got this bad flu out of these people that she was looking after.
I don't remember.
You don't remember that? Yeah.
But she died anyway.
Patricia sent me a picture of Mary.
Yeah.
She thinks that I look like Mary.
Yeah.
Who was Mary?
Mary?
His
Oh, your
sister.
sister.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's Patricia's
Pat's
mother.
mother.
Uh-huh.
But she never saw Pat.
No.
I wonder if that poor Patricia knows what a louse her father was. He was a real creep, wasn't he?
Oh, he was nuts, yeah.
I think she knows that.
Oh, she knows it.
He said that I didn't even know he had a brother.
A brother?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, his brother Bill. He lives in Vancouver Island.
Oh, yeah. Well, apparently he was moving up to Victoria
Yeah.
to
I
live
could
with the
care
daughter
less.
up. Patricia was visiting the daughter up there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she said whenever she would go, well, it was Patricia's cousin, I guess, his daughter. When she'd go to visit her, they were good friends. Then he was very mean to her,
Oh, that's her uncle.
the uncle. He wasn't nice to her at all whenever she'd go to visit.
Some strange things, all right.
What happened to your dad, Stan?
He was drowned.
Oh,
He got caught in his net. He was a gill netter. He was fishing at that time. He'd quit going to sea. He bought his own boat and
That was your dad.
yeah,
Well, you know what happened to him?
yes,
You know, you had these cleats on your,
that's right. He got
Yeah.
caught in the
and then
net.
that caught into one of the cleats and hauled him over the, and he got tangled up in the net and got drowned. Somebody saw the boat. I don't know.
Well, I know the guy that picked him out of the water.
Yeah, and they went over and this is what they
He was on the boat by himself.
Yes, just like I used to do gill netting.
Do you do gill netting by yourself?
Yeah, I've fished for quite a long time. But I didn't do it that way anymore. After my dad was drowned, by standing there and getting caught with these cleats and everything, everybody took note of that. Nobody used that anymore.
Did John took over his boat, did he?
He what?
Did John take over his dad's boat?
Yes, he did, but
Oh,
he
yeah.
didn't keep it for long. He met that Doris Russell, and
Yeah.
then he fell in love with her, and I guess he sold the boat and used the money, and you know what I mean? He had it very tough, John did.
Well, Daryl came to Alec one day with a little picture.
Yeah.
I think he said, was that John's boat? He said it was his dad's boat.
Yeah.
Did John sell the boat?
Yes.
Oh, well then I guess he sold it to Russell.
No.
He didn't sell it to
No.
Russell.
He sold it to an Indian in Sly Island.
Oh, well maybe he sold it to Russell, I don't know. But he had this picture and he wanted Alec to make him a boat, a model
Yeah.
of this boat. And you should have saw the model. He made it out of yellow cedar.
Yeah.
And he hollowed it right out. And he had little bunks and,
Yeah.
and a little stove and the whole thing in this little boat inside.
Wow. Those boats that both Uncle Alec and Jimmy made
Get
were
over your
wonderful.
chair now.
Oh,
I made them too.
Did you make them too?
I only use it when I'm watching TV.
I have pictures of
Otherwise, I
them.
hardly ever sit in that.
Yeah.
I
I mostly in
made
the kitchen, sit at
I
the
made
kitchen
one
table or something, either write
model of
letters
a big
or, you know,
tug
sort
called
out
the
some of my
Turmoil.
papers.
Yeah.
Sort
It
of
was
rip
a
some
British
throw them
tug.
away, you know, you have to keep
One of the
keeping
biggest
up.
things
Yeah,
was-
no,
mine
mine
are
gone
And
rampant now.
very notable.
I sort of
She did
neglected
a lot
since
of
Stan
big
had
jobs in the
the stroke.
Pacific.
I was more
And
preoccupied
so
with him.
I got a
So
picture of
therefore,
her and I
I'm
made
sort of
a
behind
model of
with all
her.
this
I have
stuff.
pictures of it still in the bedroom. And
Usually my table is
then I
usually
made
just when
models
we
of
have dinner or
all my
something, I
own
just
boats
move
that I
everything
had.
onto the chair.
I had
Start up
several.
the next day.
Not all at one time, you know.
Yeah.
No, things like that.
No, they were big
Yeah.
projects, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, I wasn't building boats. I built a lot of boats too, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was, I started building boats when I was about 11 years old. And my brother, the oldest brother, John, I didn't know how to put the bottom of the boat on, you know. And I was losing sleep over it, if you could believe it. You know, wondering how to do that.
Who is the fellow with the cap on that you got on the picture over there?
No,
Jimmy.
no. That is his granddaughter's, that's his great-grandson.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. That's Daddy's boy.
He was a ship guy, eh?
Oh, this guy. Oh, I thought that hat.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Jimmy. Yeah, that's
That's
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Chambers.
It's his brother.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't see him. I was just looking at the kid over there with the hat. It's Brody.
Oh, for goodness sake, why wouldn't it?
Yeah, see, this is Ina.
Yeah, that's Jim.
Ina. This is Jimmy too here.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Jim there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
oh yeah, that one I know.
Yeah.
Where did he get the top?
Well, he was in the war, you know.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he was in uniform. He was a second engineer.
Oh, for goodness sake, I didn't know that.
He was a second engineer with the Royal,
I thought he worked on in the shipyards.
no.
Oh,
Oh,
he
he worked in the shipyards too, yes.
Oh, is that right?
But he, what do you call him?
Merchant Marine?
Well, he sailed on the Loch Monar. It was a ship that he joined here in Vancouver. And he sailed on that ship to Glasgow. And then he was ashore for a while. He'd met Flora in Glasgow. And then he
That picture over, eh?
got another ship and he went to, called the, so hard for me to, my memory is gone, you know?
Looks like CPR hat.
Well, it doesn't matter what the name of the ship, what was he, Stan?
Yes, but it doesn't matter because for
No.
me it matters.
No, it doesn't for anybody else because it's material. It's just what part of the Navy or
Yes,
whatever he
yes.
was in is what we're trying to determine.
That
That
looks like the
was
same hat that
Debbie's
Dad
little
has for
son.
the
Oh, is that right, eh?
My
CPR.
daughter's
CPR.
little boy.
My, I guess I can see now in the eyes he looks like Jimmy now.
What?
Jimmy, what he was doing?
Was he in the Merchant Navy?
Yes, but this is before the Merchant
Oh,
Navy.
oh, I see.
They
Oh,
always talk about the Merchant Navy, like
Would you put it back?
when I was going to
last
sea,
June died.
they didn't call it any Merchant Navy. We were just on tramp steamers, you know.
Because what year did you go? You went and did that too, didn't you?
Yeah, well.
What year was that?
What?
What year did you go out to
To
sea?
sea?
Yeah.
Well, we were only 15, I guess, about.
So 31 or 2.
To what?
You left in 1931
Yes,
or 2?
yeah, I was working on boats and then I was boat building because I had to do something because my mother had died. And I was alone, batching it. You know, I was just 15 years old then. But I had been to Rivers Inlet, you know, when I was 6 and 7 years of age, in the high seas, fishing there with my dad. And I mean, I was at sea for long before anybody even would think that a person my age would be doing anything like that. But I started tugboating the same time as Jim did.
Yeah.
Because I went on the St. Faith and I was on there for 1 year on that ship.
When Charlie was up to see you after
Yeah.
we came from Shetland,
Yeah,
Dad got Jimmy a job on the St. Faith.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That he went out that.
yeah. And then Jimmy got me the job on the St. Faith.
Oh, were you on the St. Faith?
Yes, I was on for a year.
For goodness sake.
I was a mess boy there.
He messed things up.
Yeah.
Daddy was on the Ivanhoe,
Yeah, I was
the
too. Yeah.
Progressive and the St. Faith.
That's it.
And I have, it's there somewhere, it was in Mumster. From the captain, he went from the Ivanhoe to the Progressive. And it said, Jimmy Neil Laurenson is a hard worker and always sober.
Yeah.
That was something for a tugboat man. Paul was sober.
Your father didn't drink? No?
You know, the first...
I don't know if he drank or not.
No, the first year we came to Vancouver, maybe he might have taken us sick. The first year we came, the Christmas that we were in Vancouver, there was a lot of Shetland people around there at that time. A lot of them came from Sandwich.
Yeah.
People that he fished with when he was in Shetland. And so he brought home a bottle, I don't know what it was, maybe whiskey or whatever, I couldn't see. Anyway, Jimmy and Violet came over for Christmas, and there was a family by the name of McVicker, and the old man was a captain on the tugboat, and he was a real alcoholic. He drank like a fish. As a matter of fact, he disappeared off the tugboat, and they never know what happened to him. He fell over, he was so drunk. Anyway, Jimmy went down to see.
Possibility. It's a possibility.
Jimmy went down to see them, and he came back towards the liquor.
His head's going off the
And
side
Dad
now.
took one look at him. He
Have to straighten him
unscrewed. He pulled the cork out of the bottle and poured it down the sink. He says, that's the last drink that ever comes in this house.
Your dad did?
Yeah, poured it down the sink. He says, there'll never be another drop comes into this house.
Well, he was a smart man. He was a smart man.
You remember when Mary got frostbite in her nose?
Mary?
Yeah, you
Oh,
said
she
that.
had an operation there.
That was frostbite.
Yeah.
I think they lived in a house somewhere out in Kitsilina. The blooming thing, you could see the outside from the wall,
Yeah.
and your mother heard all the boys laughing one morning, and she didn't know what they were laughing at. And poor little Mary had a sack of water hanging from her nose.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Anyway,
In a blister.
they tried everything under the sun, and then they brought up Zambuk, and that was the first thing it cured it.
They
Zambuk.
never really cured it completely because she had trouble with that nose
Yeah.
till her last, you know.
Is that because it got cold? Is that
No,
what?
it got some kind of an infection and it would get pussy, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And poor little Mary, of course she didn't like it, but she got some kind of a deal that they did to her there and
Well, that's what it was.
fixed it inside so it wasn't outside.
It was frostbite.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
Mary was a pretty little girl.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it was a very cold winter,
Yeah.
and she got frostbite. But I think it was Zambuk that finally
Yeah.
kind of healed it.
I know we had so many cans of Zambuk around. I even asked some druggist one time not long ago about Zambuk if he knew what that was. No, he says, I've never heard of it.
He was younger, was he?
Well, yeah,
Yeah, I remember
down here
Zambuk.
somewhere he was. He didn't know.
It was funny when we were emptying, stuff under the sink in Mom's bathroom. The stuff I found in there was just, I'd totally forgotten about a lot of these things. There was no Zambuk, though.
Yes.
That's a story coming out of it. She can play that whole thing back, you know.
Do we have to?
No, but she,
You'll have
she
to
will.
hear it again. So tell them the story. You
enough.
told me a story when we were when Mom was in the hospital about when you I can't remember if you were England or in Spain and there was a ship you were trying to get on.
You just want the story, do you?
No, I want you to tell them that one. That's a
Well, it's a true story.
It is. I know.
Okay, is it ready to start now?
You just-
Sure, you
just-
go
just-
anytime you want.
Just,
I'll turn it on if there's something good.
Well, it's good right from the start.
It's on.
It's on.
Hey, Stanley, Stanley, just don't embellish too much. Just tell it straight.
Well, I don't always do. I have just turned 21 years of age at this time. I'm living in Glasgow, and I can't get work anywhere. I was working in a theater, you know, and stuff like that. It wasn't my kind of work, so, you know, I'd taken anything for to make a few pounds. Anyhow, I got to know this shipping master that you had to sign up if you wanted to get a ship. So you had to keep it kind of hard for me to talk like this. But anyway, I started to go down to see this shipping officer, and he was a captain. And he said he'd keep his eye out for me, so if there was anything came up, you know. There's about 100 guys every morning in the hall looking for work. They're all got this blue turtleneck sweaters and the crummy sort of. But I always had a white shirt and a nice tie, and the captain couldn't help but see me because this showed up, you see. So this morning I went down, and he could see me there, and he went like that with this, and told me to come up to his office. And I went up there and I talked to him. He said he had this job on this coaster, we call them coasters there. And it's a pretty good sized ship, about 200 feet long, you know. It was a rock carrier, carrying iron ore and stuff like that. But anyhow, I had to talk with about that, and he says the pay, he says, exceptionally good. Oh, I said, well, is it more than £9 a month? That's what we were getting at that time. He says it'll be about twice of that. He says if you want to take this job. I said, how come there's so pay so big for an able-bodied seaman? Just, he says, because there's war money. He says, there's danger money. He says, because, well, I said, why is it so dangerous?
That was 1937. You were approaching the war then?
Yeah.
Huh.
He says, it wasn't this war. It was another war. But anyhow, he said that's danger money. Well, I said, why is there danger? Where am I going to go with this? He says, you're going to go to Spain.
Oh,
He says,
the Spanish War.
the revolution is on in Spain with Franco. And he says, that's why big money on this. Oh, I said, I don't know if I'd care to take a job like that. Well, he says, just look at that bunch of men down there. See, they're up about 6 feet below us. We're on a platform. And he says, if you don't want that job, he says, they'll just flood the place. I'll be after it. He says, so it's up to you. And I thought for a couple of minutes, and I said, okay. I said, I'll take it. Well, he says, he says, on this job, he says, it's called a coaster. And he says it's different than what most these ships are that you've been used to going to sea, unlike doing deep water ships, you see. And I said, oh, he says, you have to bring your own blankets. Well, I said, I always had to do that too. And but he says, you have to cook your own meals. He said, and take your own food. Oh, well, I knew all about that too from even here. We had some small boats that you had to take your... No, I said, I can handle that. Okay, he says, I'll give you a slip. So he gave me a slip paper to take down to give to the mate. And I went down and seen this ship, and it was loaded with iron ore. So deep in the water that this, they call scuppers, you know, where the water comes through and comes out again. She was loaded right down, and she had the battened. The hatches were all battened down, so there's no water going to get in anywhere there. But I looked this whole thing over, and I had to kind of tippy-toe to get from the deck there where I met the mate. He didn't speak much at all to me. Very quiet. Just he was shaved very close. He didn't have any beard, but his whiskers were black, so black that his face looked half black, you know what I mean? Even though he was well shaven. But all he would do was go like that. So anyway, I went down, he says, you can come with me, he says, and I'll show you your quarters. Your quarters, he's taking me to... So I tiptoed through the water there and got up there. And when I got inside the quarter, the forecastle was, he says, this is your quarters, he says. He says, you can pick any bunk you want. And I says, right now? He says, yes. He says, you know, I said, well, I'll take this one that's closest to the door, you know, if you don't mind. That's all right. He says, you have it first pick. And he says, there's your locker, so keep your food in, and stuff like that. And he says, there's a big stove there. The top of it was as long as from here over to there. He said 3 or 4 fellows can cook at the same time, you know, without bothering anybody. And it was warm. It was so cold outside. This was on December the 11th day of December. And it was damn cold in Glasgow that morning. Every morning down anyhow. So I talked to the mate, and he showed me all this. And well, I said, okay, I said, it looks all right. I said, I'll go uptown now and I'll buy my groceries. And yes, he says, and when you come back, he says, be sure that you put a lock on your locker there. You know. So I said, okay. So I went up, I got a lock too, and I bought a whole pile of cans of those little beans, like Elmer beans and things like that. I bought a piece of bacon, I bought 2 or 3 pounds of hanging. You put a hole in it and tie it out so that no cockroaches are in it. And then I had quite a bit of food, enough. The trip was going to take about 10 days. 5 days there, and 11 or 12 days, like that. So I went and got all this stuff, and I took it back down to this boat. Her name was the Viceroy, this ship, and when I got down there with all my stuff, I was played out pretty well. It was about 11:15 or something like that. And I had everything on board there, and then I took off, and I went up to the nearest pub that I used to drink in, close to the shipping office.
Mm-hmm.
And I met a bunch of fellows up there, and got talking to them. I told this one fellow that I was got this job on the Viceroy, and that I was going to Spain.
Right.
And as soon as he heard that, he hollered over to the guy that was sitting at the bar, hadn't been with. He says, "Hey," he says, "come over here." He says, "Did you hear where Stan is going?" And he says, "Who's Stan?" He says, "This fellow, a friend of mine." He says, "Don't you didn't hear where Stan was going?" "No." He says, "Where is he going?" He says, "He's going to Spain. He's going to run the blockade. And he's going to make some pretty bloody big money on there." So he came over, he says, "Do you mind if I join you?" And he joined. He says, he says, "If there's any chance of you getting me on this ship," he says, the next time, he says, "keep me in mind, because," he said, "that's just what I'm looking for. Some kind of a job like that," he says, "where I can make some good money." And so I said, "Oh yeah, I'll keep you in mind and everything." I'm agreeing with everybody and everything. We're having a real good time. And I'm getting I used to drink whiskey and beer chasers, and I could drink a lot without getting too drunk. Anyhow, we're getting ready now, and I said I have to leave now because the ship is sailing at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or something like that. And I said I've got to get down early so that time.
You're just leaving the pub.
Okay, now?
Yeah. Wait a sec. Here, I'll get you. Roll them.
Okay. So it was time for me to leave the pub, and I had to get into my working clothes.
So you got to pay you're running away.
No, the machine stopped. You're good. Continue.
Okay.
You're leaving the pub.
I left the pub and headed down came on board the ship, and when I came on board the ship, the same mate was standing at the end of the gangplank on board the ship, and he just nodded again to me, same that I had no thought. And so I left there and climbed down some steps, and we got onto the main deck where the scuppers the water was coming in and out of there. And I saw, as soon as I got up to the forecastle head, where the quarters were, as they called them, I opened the door, and the first thing I could see was the cupboard where the lockers where my food had been pried open. The bottom was pulled down, and the bottom was pulled up rather, and the top pulled down, and there was absolutely nothing left in them. It was bare. And I also noticed that my blankets and all gone off the bed. There was no blankets, anything there. So I knew I was into a lot of trouble I'd got myself in. I didn't know what to do about it. But I figured I'll just keep quiet, but until I see what the worst could happen here. And when I got out up to the gangplank, when I was going to get off, I told the mate, this fella, I said that I said, my lockers have been broken into, all my food is gone, my blanket is gone, and I'll have to go ashore now and get some more food, or else I won't be able to sail with you. And he never mentioned me. He didn't say anything. And then I was going to go on the gangplank, and he put his arm across to the two other railing of the gangplank, and he said, all shore leave has been cancelled as of now. And this is when the big arm came right across where I couldn't get past it. So what I did was just lift both my arms in my hands, clenched fist like that, and I lifted them as high as I could, and I came crashing down on his arm. And his arm gave away, and I ran for my life across the gangplank. And I kept going. I didn't look back or anything, but just as I'm going around the corner, getting out of the gangplank, he hit me with his boot in my bum, you know. God, did it ever hurt. Holy gee, he hit me right square in the rectum. It was unbelievable, the pain, but it was so bad that I couldn't stop. I knew that if I stopped, I was done. And I kept running and running and running until I was out of breath. I was getting to the point where I couldn't breathe anymore. So I thought I'd better take a look. And I stopped and looked around, and he was about halfway, that's all, to me. He'd given up. I was way past him. So I just started walking slowly then. But I was scared because if it was so close to the sailing time that some of the crew members came down, he could be calling them to catch me and bring me back.